Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to welcome you to this session, where we will explore one of the most important transformation, I think, of our industry, the construction industry. But before we begin, I would like also to thank and take the time to thank our speaker for joining me in this very interesting webinar on offsite construction. So it's my real pleasure to introduce you, sorry, just 1 second. Yeah, to introduce you our panelists today. What is particularly valuable, I suppose, about the today's session is that we are not looking at construction from a single angle, but we are looking at it across the whole value chain. And this is quite interesting because today we have a bit old representative of this value chain, and with that we can start our journey. Today we will have with us Giulio Pollina, which is a European business manager from Reimagine by ETEX. And as you might know, ETEX is a global leader in lightweight construction and offsite building solution. Then we will follow with Manuel, which is the CEO of Stallart, and is specialized in steel framing system for efficient and industrialized construction. Then we also have with us today Jordi FLORENZA, which is contracting director of Bilba. Bilba is a Spanish company that is driving the sector of transformation of construction and giving sustainable building solution, and he will give us his point of view. And we will end this I would say this discussion with Julio SANJUAN, which is a lead architect of JSJ Architect. He's an architecture design office, which is delivering innovative solution across different design possibilities, and especially will give his contribution on what's the vision of an architect in the modular world and how his profession will evolve in this modular world. And lastly, I have the pleasure to introduce this webinar and to give you a short presentation. My name is Marina D'ANTIMO and I work for ArcelorMittal Flat Europe. And together with me today, we will have also Michael Bello, which is responsible of Advanced Building Solution and Sustainability Lead for Stelligence, who will moderate also the section and will take care of all your Q&A at the end. So if you have any question at any time of this webinar, please feel free to write it in the chat, and we will take care of this at the end. We have a specific dedicated session. We will try to reply to your question, maybe also, during the presentation if we have the time. If we will not have the time, we will come back to you with a specific answer. So, and today we will bring you through this journey in discovering offsite construction and the role of steel in building this new future of construction, or if we want to say it better, in enabling a better and efficient offsite construction. But before we go further, let me briefly say who we are. I work for ArcelorMittal, and why we care so deeply about the offsite construction, why we are here today. ArcelorMittal is a global leader in steel and mining, and we operate in more than 60 countries. We are active in producing innovative steel solutions for mostly all the sector, but we have a very strong footprint in construction. And construction is one of the key pillars of our portfolio. This is also why we have developed a dedicated range of applications and products which are really focusing on making this market more competitive and innovative. And this is not just about supplying steel, right? It's more, especially we drive innovation in the construction sector, because if construction needs to evolve, our steel and our solution need to anticipate it and need to reply, and you will see during this presentation, to the need of the market. And this is also the mindset I want to bring in the next couple of slides. My introduction will be, I hope, really short to give time to our speaker. So if we think about different sectors like automotive, aerospace, manufacturing, we realize that all these sectors has evolved with time. But if we think about the way we built, we kind of built in the same way we used to build. And having also every industry has industrialized, have digital process, and we are quite not following at the same speed this path. So why? And what I wanted to express in this slide is 7 reasons why, and they are not maybe enough, traditional construction needs to evolve. And if we want to simplify all of these 7 reasons, we can say that traditional construction is under a lot of pressure. And this pressure is coming from the demand of housing, the cost, the struggling in finding skilled labor, the productivity, the project delayed, the budget problem, and it's not like one problem. It's a lot at the same time. And also, we also recently added on the top of all of this that construction is also responsible for the highest share of CO2 emission, resource use, and waste generation. And the European Commission is pushing with the regulation to make construction more sustainable. And in the coming years, this will become quite a burden. So this is not only one problem, this is a set of problems that is putting the whole system under pressure. And this is why we need to rethink the way we build and to solve, or at least to try to solve, some of these problems. So what might change when we go offsite? So when we move our construction offsite, we shift from a construction as a kind of fragmented sequences of problems to a construction which is more controlled, repeatable, and industrialized. And that change kind of everything, because we can reply to the house crisis, accelerating house supply, affordable housing. We can reduce the cost, we can reduce the delay, we can shorten our site. We can also actually optimize, assess actually the labor shortage, optimize the safety, stabilize the workforce. But this is not enough. One of the major changes also is that we also take into consideration the optimization of material use, reduce waste, and support this concept of circularity that you might have heard coming back quite often. But I think that there is also another important pillar, and maybe it's the most important one, because it gives the foundation for the digitalization process. It's that digitalization is already embedded in the solution and standardized. The quality is controlled, is traced, and it can be upscaled. And if we want a better sector outcome, we need a better construction model. And this is, for me, why offsite is not just faster, lighter, and we will see in the next presentation all the good example of the way, is a smarter way to rethink the way we build. I mean, might be not enough offsite alone, because once we have an industrialized method, the next question is, what is the right material for an industrialized construction? And this is where material choice can really play a role. And different material will have different role in the construction industry, but when our ambition is scalability, precision, consistency, and industrial repeatability, but also because we are adding on the top of that the possibility to disassembly our solution at the end, or to recycle our solution at the end, to adapt our solution, well, in this case, still brings some very powerful advantage compared to all the other material, like timber, for example. And this is why, for me, still is at the heart of this revolution. Everything we could say start with a simple steel coil, because then we need to process to make a light steel, to cold roll the section, to use a cold roll section, and then we have an offsite module assembly. We will go into detail of that. And then we have an on-site assembly. So we need a material that works with a manufacturing logic, not against this process of simplification and standardization. And for this, I think that still is replying exactly to the need that offsite construction has. So once we have chosen the material, the next question is which material? Because innovation in construction is also about the intelligent choice of material, and innovation research are pushing even further the limit of the steel material. We might be very used to design with the standard steel, like, for example, S350GD, I hope, but we have many more possibilities today to exploit better material use, keeping the same performance, for example, or pushing for a better performance, but reducing the use of material. And you will see that using less material is already into the logic of have a more sustainable solution. For example, we could go higher in the steel grade when it makes sense and where it makes sense, of course. And for example, with steel grades, like hyper steel grades, the idea is quite simple. You have higher strength, you can enable thinner section when it's needed, where it's needed, using less material, so more efficient, more sustainable. And in the logic of an offsite building, where every millimeter, every kilogram of steel, every process has an impact, this matters. And it's not only about the metallurgic of steel, but it's also about the efficiency of the system. Less material, lighter structure, smarter design. But performance, in my opinion, is not only about strength, especially in offsite construction. There is often some point which are, I think, neglected when we choose a material, and is the durability of a solution, especially when we need and we are asked to extend the lifetime of a structure. If we want that offsite structure can be adopted at scale, they must not only be fast to build and light, they also need to be durable. And the message is quite clear. We need to combine the efficiency of the material with very high performance, for example, coating solution that can enhance the behavior in long time. So we will have less maintenance, we will have less need to replace element of the structure. And for example, that's where coating solutions are playing a role, an efficient coating solution are playing a role, and they can give a better protection, a better and long-lasting solution. And what that practically means, that our project can have a guarantee, so it can be guaranteed up to a certain year compared to the, I would say, the exposure level. It can perform much better than a standard solution, which will imply less maintenance, less need to substitution of element and so on. And it can also have a lifetime extended, which is the final goal. And of course, this will play a role when the decision will be on the sustainability type. Now we come to the third pillar, the last one. So when it comes to material choice, we have chosen a material which is light, durable, but this is not anymore enough, because we want also a material that is lower impact. And this is why low carbon steel, so low CO2 steel emission solution matters so much. For example, and this is something quite new today, there are possibility to reduce, choosing the right material, your carbon emission up to 64% of CO2 equivalent, which is strongly part of the game of the future, because now the possibility to reduce the CO2 emission matters, because it's becoming part of the design process, it's becoming part of the decision, part of the procurement, the compliance, but most of all, part of the competitiveness of the solution in a project. In many countries, but soon in all the European countries, because this is strongly pushed by a regulation standpoint. So we have presented the three pillars and for the material requirement, but now it's where I would say everything comes together. This is an example of how we can exploit combining together all the efficiency of this material. If we combine the advantage of using less steel, more durable coatings and low carbon solution, it's not only about I would say the technicity behind it's really a tangible economic value that we can show, because when we combine all together, we have more space, we have less weight, and we have a lower impact. And this means that we can not only, I would say that at this point it's not anymore only a material choice, it's a kind of a better way to conceive a project. And so we have brought everything together, and the new era of construction needs a good material and a lot of set of new requirements. But it's not just about strength, it's not only about durability, it's lightweight, it's low carbon, it's a lot of features that the new material has to have. And this is why we believe that steel, especially advanced solution, innovative steel solution for offsite, has such a strong role to play. Because when steel is designed for the need of a modern kind of construction, it kind of helps delivering exactly what the sector demands. And again, this is not for me only about choosing the right steel, choosing a better steel. This is actually a better way of conceiving a construction and a project. And we will have many good examples of this in the coming presentation. So that brings us to the next step in this journey, because once we have understood everything we need, the next question is, how does this translate into a real strategic choice inside a company, no, that are shaping this future of construction with this innovative solution? And I would say that who better than Giulio Pollina from Reimagine by ETEX can show us what was exactly in the mind of Reimagine by ETEX when they decided to go for steel frame, and why this became their preferred choice, with some practical example and their story. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Marina, for your explanation. It's been amazing and very illustrative for the day of today. And thanks to everyone to attend to this webinar. We are happy to be here because nowadays all of us are listening a lot about that this is the future. But I don't agree. I don't agree because the ones we are here involved, we are involved on this maybe in our case since 2011. So it's been our present since then. So I understand that for some people that is discovering this in the last years, could think that is the future, but companies like Reimagine, with more than 5 million square meters installed, has demonstrated that this is much more than something that just like a new thing on the market. So we talked today about steel and about the steel frame, and the title is Faster, Lighter, Sustainable. And that's why Stalart is about. Stalart was born in Poland initially, 25 years ago. Greg, the founder of Stalart in Poland, was working in the United States for 10 years with the wood prefabricated houses. And he discovered that with steel, he could improve the scalability of the process, control much better, and reduce a lot of risks that he was facing on the market with the wood. So he decided to change, and of course it was a great excuse to come back to Poland, his house, and set a new company there with steel. So he started there, and then I met him in 2011, and we started to collaborate in some projects in Spain. Little by little, the market was not very ready for that on that moment, and we started very slow until 2019, where Stallart name starts to appear also in Spain, with a good pipeline of projects that will already install it on the market, mainly in the low-rise market. And then from that point on, it's been a race so far until this moment where we are. The market in the last 2 years exploded, and everyone now recognizes the steel frame and the good things that the steel is given to the market. If we can go next, we are going that one. Perfect. The next one, please. The next one? Yeah. Thank you very much. In Stallart, we are focused in 3 different products or targets. First one is low rise. We design, calculate, manufacture, supply, and install the structures for low rise. Low rise is, we call low rise from ground floor up to 2 floors. And what we are doing in this market is focusing in 2 different ones. One is high-end housing. So we demonstrate that industrializing sector is not only for ugly projects. We are doing really nice ones, very luxury ones. As you can see on the right is the picture with very, very tailored shapes. And that's what we are doing with the steel in the high-end market. And also in the low rise, we are doing volume market projects like the one on the left. This is a project in Seville that we've been doing with Bilbao, with Jordi. This is a social housing in Seville. And that's what this system allows us to give the value proposal to the market. We are giving that really strong value proposal that mainly is control, accuracy, and speed to the project. We like to show us not as just installers or producers, more than we like to show us like planners, because what we sell in reality is a tool to plan. The project with our system can plan much better the process, knows, controls the dates, controls the costs, and that's certainty that that's a big value to the market, because all of us have heard many times, more than we like it, that the time was not accomplished, the costs were not accomplished, and things like that. Luckily, using the technology and the industrialized method, especially with steel, you can achieve that. And that's why we are in the market, and this is our proposal value. Then if we go to the next one, we can see a very good example that Remagine is now installing in Scotland. And I'm using this picture because it explains a lot about our relationship. When we started to grow in the market in Spain, the developers started to ask us, why don't you do buildings? Why don't you go to this other segment in the market? And we started to do research, I&D. We invested a lot on doing that process, growing our system to more stories. And on that moment, we things of the life, we crossed it with Remagine, and we started to know each other. So they discovered that we have a very strong position in the market in Spain, and we discovered they had a really good product on the market in Europe. So we did a good match, and we did a partnership on that sense, because the moment is now, and the product is already there, and we have the resources to install, and we have the resources to be very involved in the market in Spain. So that's why we partnership, and we are now involved in several projects in Spain, and the future is quite brilliant on that segment, because we are having a really good result on the market with that. And then if we go to the next one, we'll see the third one. Well, this is another example. We can stop in this, because I think it's worthy, and to explain a bit more about the system. Here we can see that the system is involved with the bearing walls, also internal bearing walls and external bearing walls, with this cladding material that comes outside and brings the opportunity to really scale up the project, and to do a lot of different processes at once we install the structure. Also, even in this project are coming with the windows. But then there is another thing very important, which is security. You can see how clean is the building side, but also you can see that all the security is already installed, because it's part of the system. So still, again, gives us another step forward. It's not only the product, it's also the security. And again, is planning. Again, is a lot of indirect costs that are being reduced in the building. So in terms of cost, when you learn to quote properly with those systems, you understand that the value is not only the list of the materials, the value is what you get with the system in the end of the process, and that's the real value. And then if we go to the next one, we can see our third business line. It's the facades. When we are not acting as the main structure, we act as the secondary structure. We can install the envelope of the building very fast, using the infill, what we call infill structures, because we can go straight away in front of the main structure, or we can fit in the traditional structure, and we can combine with concrete, or we can combine with hot rolled steel to fill one building. Sometimes a building that in the past was started and for some reason was stopping the process, and then they need to speed up the process. So this is our third line. Now, if we go to the next one, we can see a video where you can understand much better what we do and how we do. We are not listening the music, but I can explain you that we did this video to let you listen the sound of the factory. We are not listening now, but we only are in the factory. We have machines producing very, very accurate what the architects design. That's why always Julio is very happy, because we are building what he is drawing. So this is very, very interesting. So one of the main things is to design in advance everything, tailor it, and to take into account installations. Everything that we can advance is something that we are going to avoid then on the building site. So as much things as we produce, as we call on the desk, is much better, because we avoid that happening on the building site. Always is easier to sort it out in the factory. Yeah, the video is showing how fast things happens, basically. Now, if we go ahead in the next one, we talk about material. Of course, material for us is key. We are doing everything with steel, and we are doing 100% with ArcelorMittal material, because we need to do things with the better choice. And we do everything with Magnelis, and we do minimum with 350 GD material, always, of course. In the low rise, always 350. We are using 1 millimeter, 1.2 millimeters, and for the mid rise, starting on 440 is the grade that we are using. To let you understand better, basically there are three pictures here on the slide. One on the left, the coils. The coils arrive more or less tailored for the projects, because we order just in time, basically, for the next projects. And then we produce in the machines that we saw on the video, and we cut the panels accordingly to the logistics. This is also part of the planning. This is also part of the value. This is also part of the product. And that's why I'm saying we are not sellers of steel. We are planners. We are giving a planning tool to the market, because to achieve the picture on the right, which is a project that we did also with Julio in Valencia, 12 detached houses. We plan how we are going to install. We plan how we are going to download. We plan how we are going to cut the panels for the logistics, and we design and calculate accordingly to that. It depends on the place. Sometimes you have a project in a very narrow road, or in a very inclined road in the middle of the mountain. So you need to change that. You need to adapt for that. That's why 2D model in structure is very flexible and provides a lot of traction to the market in any different project without no limitation. And also, talking about X-Carb I wanted to mention a bit, because I see that it's growing a lot, and we are starting to receive a lot of inquiries with the X-Carb, because in the future, have no doubt that is gonna be very important, especially when talking about buildings where comes for important funds or big funds that are thinking to qualify, to certify a building, and they are thinking to sell the building in the future. So all that certificates are very important for the process. And talking about sustainability every time is bigger, and is becoming more important in the market. And I have no doubt that in the future, X-Carb is gonna be very important in our portfolio of material. Yes. And now if we go to the next slide, is the most important for me in the webinar of today because of one reason. When I was invited, I wanted to transmit one idea and just one idea, and this is the idea. We don't like to talk about expensive or cheap projects. We talk about viable projects. And to achieve viable projects, design for manufacturing and assembling plus lean construction is the key, is the formula to succeed in the market. If you want to decide only with the list of cost of materials, it's because you probably don't understand the system. You need to understand the value you get, and the value you get, for instance, in the project in Moncada that we are currently doing with Julio, is a residence of students that needs to be opening the next September. That's value. We are almost in September, and next year, in 12 months, needs to be open and working on the market. That's value. And all the terms, all the items needs to be and take it into account when doing the number. And this picture reflects very well our scope of work. Our scope of work here is this is a high-end house. It's 70 square meters house approximately, and this is very tailored house with big spans, with cantilevers, a lot of details. And what the value here is that we have installed this in 15 days. So in 15 days, all the rest of the workers, the different processes in this house can goes in and knows what to do exactly and how they have to do. And the product, the final product, is a very high-end house with a lot of detail and a lot of process. That in the background, there is a lot of engineering, there is a lot of design, there is a lot of value added after receiving the steel, once the steel comes to our factory, in between that moment and the moment we install on the building site. And now if you go ahead, the next important message that I want to send is that we talk about return on investment. That's what we talk about. And that's why it makes sense to work with industrialized systems, because of the certainty and because of the return of investment. That's when the project is viable. So that's not if one project costs a bit more or less than another system. The important decision is when the end of the project comes, the value that you get, and that's the return on the investment for the investors. We can see two examples now, the two videos that comes next. This one is the one we did with Julio in Valencia. And this video, the most important thing, because probably you just see now a time-lapse video, okay? But now what you are seeing is 7 weeks. In 7 weeks, the project was like you can see in the images. So everything was installed, everything was very fast. That project was finished in 7 months, 100%, 7 months. So that's the opportunity to a developer to do, instead of one of those, 2 per year. That's return of investment. And then we can see next one. This is the first story building that we installed with Reimagine system in Spain, in Fuengirola. This was installed for Jordi company in the south of Spain, and we installed this in 6 weeks. This was also for social housing and public project, and was the first demonstration on the market that this is possible, this is real, this is possible to coordinate. And I guess that he will speak about this project now in his speech. But I think that I can assure you that we weren't cleaning the building site for the video. This is how it looks like every day. So that was a good experience in the south of Spain. Was the first with us and Reimagine in Spain. And now we are starting the new installation of another building in Castellón. Next comes the Julio project in Valencia. And again, with Jordi, I guess that we are going to do another big one in the south of Spain by the end of the year. So that's what we do with the steel, and that's why we are so happy using the material so far. Okay, so
Thank you, Manu, for the presentation. I guess, Jordi, you're gonna share your screen? You wanna take it over? So we continue our journey with Bilbao.
Jordi, you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was talking alone. Thank you, Manuel. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Julio. Okay. Good morning, everyone. And thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to be here and to share our experience with the steel frame in southern Spain. Okay. We have, as I have shown you, Manuel, we have just finished two projects, two buildings here in Spain, 58 social houses in Sevilla and 15 houses in Fuengirola. And what I want to present here today is not theory, it's based on real projects, okay? What worked, what didn't work, and where we believe the sector is heading, okay? I keep it straightforward, okay? First, who we are and how we approach transformation in construction. Second, the current context and the key structural challenge. Third, our real experience with the steel frame projects, including timelines and performance. And finally, what comes next? What will we do in the future, as has told Manuel, okay? Who we are? We are a construction company with more than 20 years of experience operating across residential, commercial, infrastructure, and energy sectors. At the moment, we have more than 1,600 homes under construction across 58 active projects. And our team is about 450 people, okay? But beyond the numbers, what really matters is our strategic focus, okay? We are strongly committed to industrialization and collaborative delivery models. This is where we believe the future of our sector lies, okay? For us, industrialization is not just changing materials or construction systems, okay? It's about changing how projects are conceived and delivered. We use industrialization processes supported by BIM, but the real transformation comes from collaboration, okay? Specifically in particularly APD models, where developer, designers, and contractor are aligned from the day one, sorry. This is critical, okay? Industrialization only works as its full potential when projects are designed with the construction system on mind, okay? We can change the construction system, yeah? Manuel has told about that. We have to go from the beginning in that construction method on mind, okay? If we are, sorry. Yes. If the design and execution are disconnected, the efficiency is lost, okay? We can see in our portfolio, we have nowadays 65% of collaborative projects, and above the total project, 20% is industrialized, okay? We have a huge team specifically dedicated to collaborative projects, about 12 technicians, and we have an experience about above of 10 years in collaborative projects. what is the problem, or how we are now, where we are now, better. One of the main structural challenges we have in our sector is the shortage of skilled labor. Okay, we have around 300 direct workers, and the average age is about 42 years. Okay, but the key issue appears in the more physically demanding trades. Okay, such as the concrete structures. We have from the age of 55 years, we have long-term sick leave due to chronic fatigue becomes an increasingly frequent. Okay, we have estimated that in 10 years we maybe will have only 10 people allowed to build structures. Concrete structures. Okay. On the other side, we have another problem that we are not delivering the number of houses that the market needs. Okay, we have an estimation that in Málaga is needed about 25,000 houses a year per year, and we are only construction about 10,000. Okay, so there's an amount that is increasing year per year. Okay, and if we don't change how we build, we will not be about efficiency. Okay, we have to be able to build at all. Okay, we have to try to reach that 25,000 houses. Okay, I'm going to make a short focus on the projects, about the experience on the project we have already delivered, and why we have to become in working in that industrialized projects. Okay, first of all is Los Pacos. Okay? Is the last video that Manuel has shown you. It's about 15 social houses unit in a steel frame. Okay, it was our first experience in steel frame. Okay? We haven't worked before in this industrialized system, and it was a very useful experience. Okay, we have learned a lot about this kind of construction and this kind of building in concrete. Okay. This project we have completed. Well, Manuel has told 6 weeks. We have appointed about 5 weeks to erect the structure. Okay, it's a very fast process. Okay, we will take about 5-6 months in complete that structure. Okay, we have talking about a 75% reduction of that time. Okay, and when we finish the structure, as you see, you have it's a watertight shell. Okay, it's not entering water into the building, so you can begin with the other the installations with the masonry. Okay. Some things we could have improved in this project. As I told you before, it's important to begin with the project on mind and the system on mind. Okay, maybe these solar balconies you have seen here take a cost benefit that was not the efficient. Okay, we think that it could be better in another way of thinking the project. Okay, there was some double layers of steel frame inside the building that it could be more efficient. Okay. This is the Sierra Castillo project. Manuel has told you about that. It was a different project because it has 58 units of only one floor. Okay, social living too, and we take about 16 weeks. Okay, it's important. I haven't mentioned that before, but it's important to see the crew or the crew size on site of these projects. Okay, because we have told, I go back. Okay, we have told that we have done this building. We have completed the structure in 5 weeks, but only with 4 people. Okay, in other case, I told you we will take about 6 months and maybe 10, 12 people, and we have here only in 5 weeks and 4 people. And the same case here in Sevilla. Okay, we have been working over 16 weeks more or less, and with 2 teams of 3 people. Okay, and they raise 1 house per day more or less. Okay. What is the savings here? We have savings first on time. Okay, we have, on terms of time, we have a reduction about of 33%. Okay, in total works. Okay, that is, as has told Manuel, in some kind of projects with the operator has to or needs to become to operate as soon as possible. It's a big improvement. Okay, big numbers like this. Okay, 60% of reduction in critical path, in structural critical path, and 30% of less cost in site management staff and the setup of the workplace. Okay, because we are reducing that 30% of the complete time of the project. Okay, what is next? Well, when are we going? Okay, now we have tested the system. We want to increase our level of industrial construction in steel frame, and we are now in 2 ambitious projects. Okay, this is Maya. This is a 37 detached bungalow style homes. Okay, this is a luxury project. So here we can see that it's possible to do or to build luxury projects with steel frame too. Okay, because sometimes we think that the steel frame is only for affordable housing, and it could be able to use in every kind of project. Okay, and we are beginning to work in this project. The architect is very proudly about the system. He's imposing that way of construction, and we are working very closely in the integration between design, orientation, and construction system to fully unlock this potential. Okay, the industrialization doesn't define the level of the product, right? It elevates the level of the product. And finally, we have this other project, the most ambitious project we have in steel frame nowadays. Okay, this Hanco West is a residential building of 69 homes. Here we are dealing with a mid-rise development, which represents a significant step forward for us. Okay, here we are with the remaging system. It's a heavier system than the system we have seen in Los Pacos, and we are very proud of the possibility of develop this project in steel frame, because at the beginning the client was take about the system that could be more feasible for this project, and we have talked about wood, concrete structure, industrialized concrete structure. And finally, we see that the system that fits better to this project was the steel frame. Okay? We are expecting to begin this project about October, November. Well, it depends on the legal problems that has the plot. Okay. What are the next, or where we take the steel frame? Okay. Looking forward, we see the three clear lines of development. Okay. We have to scale the system, okay, into larger residential schemes that the project that Manuel has shown in Ireland, sorry. Second, increasing the level of prefabrication. Okay, we need more finish offsite. The photographs that Manuel has shown with the windows, it's very important in order to work inside the building when they finished, okay? Because we have all the building closed. And the specificity for the energy and comfort here in the south of Andalusia, because here is very hot and it's very easy to implement the solutions of steel frame with other systems of insulation that are more usual here, okay? And that's all from my side. For us, steel frame is not the only solution, but is a very powerful tool to address the challenges we currently face. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take any questions at last. Sorry.
Thank you. So we're a bit in delay, but I would like really to ask Julio to do the next presentation, and then we do the question. And I think it's very nice to finish with the view of an architect, because what we have seen is actually very challenging for the architecture profession. Do you want me to share, or you will share, Julio?
I can share.
Perfect.
So, well, hello everybody. Thank you, Marina and ArcelorMittal, for inviting us. Thank you, Julio, Manuel, and Jordi, for their presentations. I will share my screen. Second. Okay. So I'll try to explain what does it mean for an architect to adapt a system like light steel frame. It takes a change of mind. You have to start thinking about the project in a different way. And before I'll just do a fast introduction how we got here. We got here thanks to Manuel.
Julio, sorry, we don't see your screen. Have you shared it?
Don't see my screen? One
Yeah.
second. Okay. I'll try again. Do you see it now?
Okay. It's charging. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, I'll go through these 5 points. Many of the features of light steel frame have already been talked about. First, explain how did we get here. I met Manuel like almost 10 years ago. We were very interested as architects to find new ways of building and more precise ways of building. And we started doing single family houses thanks to Stallard and Manuel that gave us all the support, the engineering support, the technical doubts that might come to an architect. In Spain, it's important to say that architects are also responsible for the structure. We sign, and if there's any problem, it's not the engineer. I mean, it's also the architect, mainly the architect, that has the responsibility. So that support they gave us was very good. Then after several years of doing several projects hand by hand with Stallard and Manuel, we were so convinced about the system that we decided to not only design, be part of the architecture design team, but also as the investor team. So we thought it was so that's a combined point of view as well here. So for us, it was also economically attractive to do and use this technology. So, well, this is the project that Manuel explained. It was finished in 7 months, 12 single-family houses. And today we are with Reimagine, which is Manuel elevated to the cube with Reimagine system, and like their partnership has opened us the possibility to go to mid-rise. And this is the in our development, we have a small development company with other 2 associates. And this is the 3rd project that we're developing. This is a student residence, as Julio and Manuel talked about. And I mean, not only do we know the advantages of the system, but in this case, it was crucial because student residence, the school schedule starts in September, and we have to finish it before September next year. So it was mandatory from not only from the architect's point of view, but from the developer point of view, to be able to start operations for that date. So that's just like a small introduction, so to know how we got here. I mean, what are the differences? You mostly already talked about them. Traditional has a higher unpredictability, lower versus lower unpredictability in industrialized process like steel frame. In traditional construction, you still continue with problem solving of things that should be already solved. And in the advantage of light steel frame is that that's directly not possible because everything has been already produced. So if you have a problem on site with light steel frame, you do have a big problem. But with the tools that we work with and the support that steel frame producers and companies like Reimagine and Stallart, they really give you a huge support from the engineering point of view, from the planning point of view. That's something that I'll also speak about a bit in the next slides. Dependence on site labor and wet trades. That's the traditional way of building. Industrialized process is a dry way of building. You're not labor dependent on site. No? Planning and process. I should say that this is the most, I'd say, change of way of thinking. When you think that you're just finishing a project, you put it in a folder and you hand it in. No, this way of working for engineers and architects is different. You need to predict, you need to anticipate all the details while you're doing the project, and you have to work. That's also why contractors like Bilba are crucial. They need to be in the mix since the very beginning, because they will give you insights on how to access, how to stockpile, how to do, like the elevation machinery. All those details are crucial, and if you can combine them in the design process, it's even better. And yeah, so when you're slow, you don't need to anticipate as much. When you're fast, you do need to anticipate a lot. This is a bit what I was explaining, no? All the decisions keep going on. That means changes can come on light steel frame system offsite. Those issues are not possible because then I mean, you have to go back to the factory. So that's why this anticipation is crucial in very early stages of the design. What questions? I don't know in the audience if there are any architects or engineers, if they have ever tried light steel frame. Questions that you need to ask yourself when you're starting a project, no? Steel frame works as like in an engineering structural point of view, works as a load-bearing walls. It's not like a column or beam system. So you need to define which walls are load-bearing. Are these floors or these walls vertically aligned? And what spans and openings what are the spans and the opening dimensions? Some of these could be also questions you could ask on traditional, but I'll go back to the vertically aligned walls because as every system, the steel frame can adapt to any design, which is one of the advantages versus 3D or other industrialist approaches. But to make it more efficient, you want these walls to be aligned or this structural logic to be as optimized as possible. Okay. Also, you need to know where the MEP, where all your shafts are. You need to know the fire protection and acoustic performances you need for your project, for the different uses, and of course the detailing and how is the facade going to be. Well, you need to ask all these questions during the design process to know what you're getting into, and the earlier you do so, the better. Well, these are some examples. You need to know where these shafts are going to be, those penetration into the rooms, what is the fire protection. Fire protection is a very critical thing in this system as it works together with plasterboard. It's a system that's a three-dimensional steel structure, but that uses plasterboards as part of the system for fire protection. So it's critical. Well, this is just like a detail that I don't know if there are any architects in one of the differences in the Reimagine system that we really like, and it really opens possibilities for us, is that the load-bearing walls are continuous vertically, and the slabs are independent in each part of the floor. That's one of the features that makes mid-rise on steel frame possible, which was something that we didn't know until Reimagine came along. Using building information modeling. I mean, this is the norm for every practice, I'd say. But if you're going industrialized or light steel frame, that's even more so, because you need to know where every element is placed, and that's something it's amazing to work with other professionals that work with 3D and BIM tools, because it's a way to work together in on the model, which is it's a way of having the build model before you start producing the structure. So there's comebacks, many like supervisions, but you're working already together with the engineering team of Reimagine and Stallard. You're working with them, and they give you insights. They give you all the tools you need, as an architect to move forward. This is the 3D model of the previous project, the first one we did as developers as well. 12 single-family houses. And this is the next part. I'm going to skip to this little sketch. It's one of the things that makes the system so fast is the overlapping of different tasks. And well, that's one of the main things that, as you can see, as soon as you finish one floor, you can start working with the MEP on the floor below. That's the reason you're able to do this, is because there's no formwork or there's no need. Once you finish the slab, you can right away start working on top of it. So that's a huge advantage, and that's one of the things that makes the system so fast. You need that the people working the MEP or the dry lining or the finishings to be as fast as the structure. So contractor there, they need a team that's able to make this construction fast train to go full speed, because if not, you lose that advantage. And well, these are some ongoing projects that we want to introduce steel frame. It's not confirmed yet, but we're really why do we think this is a real advantage, no, for architects? It's not only that, of course, steel has greater precision than any structural element, no, or structural tool, because it does, no, and they give it a 50% structural in at least in Spanish regulation versus 50% or 35% they give concrete. You know exactly its properties, the bending moments, the stress and traction. You know perfectly how it works structurally. But it's not only that precision, it's the fact that you know the layout of every wall. You know it generates a mindset where from the structure you are, let's say, forced to plan every single detail of the rest of the process. So that's something really good because it makes you give the most out of the design, out of the process planning, and yeah, I'll say that we're really grateful to Manuel and to Julio from both of their companies to all the support they're giving us, and we hope that other brave contractor companies like Bilba want to hop on the light steel frame train because we need them to make these projects possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Julio. I think that we have some minutes left. Maybe Mikael can support us with the Q&A session because I see there are some questions. Maybe we will not have the time to reply to all of them.
Yeah, so actually there is a lot of questions and also comments. And so first I will start with congratulations. Many people were very happy apparently with the presentation. So since I see we have 5 minutes now, approx, I was thinking, so I did a bit of summary of different question summary, and I was thinking just to make one quick question for every speaker. So maybe starting from the last one from with Julio.
Yes.
So I guess it was a question for you because it was at the last question. So there was, for example, a question if we can combine traditional construction with light steel framing.
I guess it's possible. Yes. I mean, in the end, the light steel frame system is a combination of construction systems. It starts with a structure, but we're using plaster boards, which are used also in conventional structures. We're doing the finishings, the MEP. Those are the same as traditional constructions. It's more the mindset and the process that needs to be integrated. I think that would be the key element, which that the light steel frame and industrialized process really forces you or makes you improve. Which in traditional you can just let those problems and go on site and say, okay, today we said this, and next week, oh, we found another solution. Here, it's literally not possible. So I would say it is possible to combine. It is possible to combine, but you need the right mindset to make it work.
Thank you very much. And Jordi, one question about a project. I think it's Hanko West. And I think you said that light steel framing was the best option for this project compared to other solution. If you can maybe give a bit more of information why you consider was a better solution.
Here is important the distance between the point of the elements of the distance between of the beams. Okay, I mean, every system has a optimized distance between the point of I don't know how to say. And here we see that from the the so long beams that appear in wood, okay, it costs too much in order of money, okay, in comparison with the steel frame, okay, and in the case of concrete, it was not optimized because these lights were too short, okay, the distance between the points of a point they were too short. I don't know if I have explained correctly, okay?
Yeah, you mean the span between the support. Okay.
This is the first fact we are searching in order to find the optimized system for each work, okay? We work with the three systems, okay? It depends on the project. We use one or other, okay?
All right, thank you. This question, it's maybe for, well, Manuel or Julio, but let's go for Manuel. There is always like delays, or at least most of the time in traditional buildings. And the question it was if you experience delays in your projects, no? And of course, if there is some delays, what was the main reason? You're on mute, Manuel, sorry.
Yes, I would like to say no, but it's not true. Yes, always, sometimes could be delays, but as I explained it in my speech, the key formula is design for manufacturing and assembly, where you are going to plan exactly what is going to happen in the future, and then you need plus lean construction. You need planning. So if you think, or you try to think already, okay, I already choose my system, I'm save it. You are not, because you need the other part. You need lane construction. You need a plan. You need planning that correctly and properly. And sometimes the delays comes because of third parties, like licenses or something like legal issues. And sometimes the delays comes because there is a lack of planning. But as long as you have a good plan and you did the design of manufacturing and assembly, the delays were or are minimum. In traditional systems, normally a delay when something happened in a building site, you need like 1 week to discover what happened, then a couple of weeks to decide who is the fault, and then the third or fourth week people starts to work. Here, delays when comes knows exactly where it's coming from. So you can act very fast, and a delay can be in terms of days, not in terms of months. That's the big difference.
All right, thank you very much. And maybe a last question for Marina. Yeah, this one it's maybe more for my side, but what would be how you see the future? No, what kind of steel would be let's say innovation or kind of coating could be fit in light steel framing? No, what do you see, like how they build today, and how can we improve in 5 years, especially maybe, I don't know, thinking in automotive and well.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think that it's, well, one short answer would be relying on what Manuel said. We always say we like to say the future of construction, the new the generation of construction era, but in reality, we do already have all the efficient and innovative material, to build in efficient way. Maybe, and this is very much different in European countries. It's really the fast for which this solution, so higher strength steel, more powerful coating solution, and low carbon steel will be implemented in different countries will be different, because the different, as Julio was saying, different building mindset needs to change. So the way we build needs to change, and the speed will be different. But I think that, honestly speaking, today we do have already all the high performance solution to reply with the more efficient coating, like zinco magnesium coating, like Magnelis, and we do have also possibility to go for very difficult environment. It's normally in offsite we speak about indoor environment, so it's something we do have. What I think that is stressful point for the future is that this system will integrate what will be required. So, for example, digital product passport, integrated BIM with life cycle indicator, everything in one. And in that, we can also support because we are quite upstream. So sometimes we need to be, the first providing all the information that the downstream will need to be ready for this shift. So for me, it's more a shift, because as an industry side, we do already have all the very high performance solution for the light steel framing in general and offsite in particular.
Oh, I see there is more new question. I don't know if you want to extend a bit or
we can still take some. For me,
okay.
I was wondering if some of the people have the name, so we can reply personally.
Yes.
But I would also suggest maybe if the speaker agree, we will give the presentation with our contact. I would really suggest for some of the people we will not be able to reply to send on LinkedIn. We are all active, and or our personal email the question. So maybe if we want to pick some others. But there are many which I'm copy pasting, and I will revert to the speakers.
I think there was a interesting question about passive house. Now I don't find it, so I don't know if someone want to answer. And so are you considering adopting passive house standards to improve the energy needs for cooling and heating of these buildings? There was also another question about actually, I think about the tightness now of the air tightness. So I don't know if someone want to answer, maybe Julio or Manuel or Giulio, whatever.
Yeah, one of the advantages of this system is like without even like trying hard, you get like in Spain a certified A, because we're talking about 100 millimeter stud, which is filled in with mineral wool. And then you add on the outside, you have many different solutions, but you completely envelope the building with insulating panels that can be of different nature. So, of course, you have to combine that if you want to reach passive house performance. You need to work on that air tightness. You need to work on the detailing for the windows, for the connections, but it's basically the normal construction systems for facades, like ventilated facades or ETEX now, external thermal insulation facades, work perfectly with this system.
Right.
So I don't know if that is, if you guys want to.
We work with a company in the north of Spain, in the Pyrenees, and with an architect only with passive house designing. And he always tells us that the main thing is the accuracy, because for completing those houses is very important the accuracy to seal perfectly everything to achieve the certified passive. Because as Julio says, doing the worst way we can, we are achieving the maximum rate in Spain. But then to get the certified, you need to pay special attention on those points where you have to seal the openings mainly. And thanks to the accuracy of the system, that is very well planned. And with the materials that currently are in the market, you can plan properly and make the section totally tailored for doing that and achieving the rate exactly that you need to achieve. And then it performs perfectly. So mainly we are doing in the north of Spain, Pyrenees, and recently we have to go to install another one in Andorra also for that reason.
Thank you very much. Marina, I think I'll let you decide if you want to close, but I think it's
I think that thanks, Giulio is replying in chat to some of the questions. For some of the others, I think we can close it here as we are like tight with time. I took note that we replied mostly to the anonymous one where we don't have the name, so with that we eventually cannot revert. For the others, we will try to reply individually. I will send to the speaker the whole question, but do not hesitate, as Giulio said in chat, to add us on LinkedIn, to write on our private email, and if the speaker are okay, we can send the presentation, right? So they will have all your contact, and you will have also the registration of the webinar, I think, in a while. So yeah, I would just say thank you very much to everyone, to all the speakers, to the participants for being up to late, and we were a bit later, and for the interest. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, let's hope this is the first one of some others that we will do together. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
the
very much.
organization. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.